The night was dark and silent as Jake, a seasoned trucker, guided his massive rig down a desolate stretch of highway. He'd been driving for hours. The monotony of the road weighed on him, and fatigue was beginning to set in. His cargo, shrouded in mystery, was heavy on his mind. It was an unusual assignment, and he'd been warned not to ask questions. As the rain started to fall, the windshield wipers struggled to keep up, making visibility poor. Jake clenched the steering wheel, his knuckles white in the dim glow of the dashboard lights. The highway seemed never-ending, surrounded by dense forest on either side. The occasional flicker of his headlights revealed towering trees and the shadows of lurking creatures. Suddenly, Jake spotted a hitchhiker on the side of the road. Rain-soaked and drenched, the young woman with long, tangled hair stood in the cold, her thumb out. Jake hesitated but finally pulled over, a mixture of sympathy and caution guiding his decision. She climbed into the cab, her clothes clinging to her body and her face hidden beneath the hood of her jacket. "Thanks for stopping," she muttered, her voice soft and trembling. "I'm just trying to get out of this storm." Jake nodded and continued driving, stealing glances at his mysterious passenger. The woman seemed fragile, and her presence added an unsettling dimension to the already eerie night. Her hands trembled as she pulled the hood back, revealing a face that seemed oddly familiar, though he couldn't place it. Minutes turned into hours, and the woman kept to herself, staring out into the darkness. Jake's unease grew with each passing mile, but he focused on the road and tried to push aside his growing sense of dread. The rain continued to pour, and the forest closed in around them, making him feel isolated and vulnerable. As they neared a dilapidated roadside motel, the woman finally spoke. "Can you drop me off here?" Jake obliged, pulling into the motel's parking lot. The woman got out, her eyes locked on his for a brief moment, and then she vanished into the rain-soaked night. Jake watched her go, a chill running down his spine. He decided to check into the motel for some much-needed rest. As he entered the lobby, the receptionist gave him an odd look. "You brought her here, didn't you?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Who?" Jake replied, puzzled. The receptionist hesitated, then leaned in close and whispered, "The woman who's been haunting this place for years. She died in a terrible accident, right out there on the highway. They say she hitchhikes, with unsuspecting truckers, luring them to their doom." Jake scoffed at the story, but couldn't shake the feeling of unease. He headed to his room, locking the door behind him. The rain continued to pour, and the sound against the window felt like an eerie whisper. As Jake settled into his room at the motel, the unsettling story of the hitchhiker still fresh in his mind, he couldn't help but feel a growing sense of dread. The room had a musty, old-world charm, with dim lighting that cast long shadows across the peeling wallpaper. After a restless night's sleep, Jake awoke to an eerie silence. He checked his watch and realized that he had overslept. He needed to get back on the road and deliver his mysterious cargo. Gathering his belongings, he made his way to the truck, a gnawing unease still lingering in the back of his mind. The highway stretched before him, the forest still shrouded in a thick, morning mist. As he merged onto the road, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He glanced at his rearview mirror but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Yet a sense of foreboding settled over him like a heavy cloud. Miles down the road, a dense fog rolled in, further limiting his visibility. The eerie surroundings and the hitchhiker's story played tricks on his mind, and he couldn't shake the feeling of a presence in the cab with him. Cold fingers seemed to brush against his neck, and he shivered looking around, but no one was there. In the midst of the fog, Jake spotted something up ahead, a figure standing in the middle of the road. As he approached, his heart pounded in his chest. It was the woman, the same hitchhiker he had picked up the previous night. She seemed to materialize out of thin air, her hair matted and her clothes still drenched. Panicking, Jake slammed on the brakes, but the truck skidded on the slick road. He watched in horror as the woman's pale face loomed in the windshield, her eyes black as coal, and her mouth twisted into a grotesque smile. The truck careened off the road, crashing through the guardrail and into the forest. The impact jolted Jake, and as he struggled to regain his senses, he realized the truck was teetering on the edge of a ravine. With sheer determination, he forced himself to escape the cab just moments before the truck plummeted into the depths below. Bruised and shaken, Jake crawled away from the wreckage, his gaze never leaving the truck's remains. The rain had stopped, and the forest was eerily quiet. He couldn't find any sign of the woman or her sinister presence. As he hiked back to the highway, Jake knew he had narrowly escaped a chilling fate. The mystery of his cargo remained unsolved, and the hitchhiker's haunting presence would forever haunt his memories of that nightmarish journey.